The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi has been named as the new party president of PDP-Laban. Cusi has taken oath as PDP-Laban president in a National Assembly led by party chairman President Rodrigo Duterte. This came just after the ruling party declared all national officer positions and chairmanships vacant. This included the post of national president, which Senator Manny Pacquiao previously held. Cusi, however, claimed this was not an ouster as they're just following the party's rules. A member of the Philippine delegation to the Tokyo Olympics has tested positive for COVID-19. To give us more details, we have Philippine Olympic Committee President Mr. Bambol Tolentino now joining us live via Zoom. Good evening, sir. Could we get more details on this specific patient? Is he among the athletes?
No, he's an, good evening. He's an official, not an athlete. So nothing to worry. And he's still in Manila. That PCR test result is mandatory for those leaving for Tokyo. That's the required 98 and 72 hours. So 2 PCR before leaving for Tokyo.
Right, so this is precisely why we test, and hopefully this is an isolated incident. But then what is the latest on the contact tracing efforts that you guys are doing, especially with the Tokyo Games just a few days away, sir?
Contact tracing, if kung dito naman nangyari, no, it happened here, so it's within the family circle sa household niya. No? So nothing to worry with the team Philippines, especially those already in Tokyo and those leaving for tomorrow.
Right. Apart from these testing measures, what other measures or other safeguards does the POC have to ensure the health and safety of our athletes?
Well, aside from this 2 PCR before leaving is mandated by Tokyo Organizing Committee. So after that, when we reach Tokyo at the airport, we will be swabbed again after deplaning. So we will be waiting for the result again before leaving the airport, going to the athletes' village or the respective hotels. Then after that, every day will be swab test, and they will be collecting the result and the test every morning. If you miss it in the morning, then in the evening. That will be part of the health protocol in Tokyo. And of course, food, no groupings, no lahat, laing bawal. No food will be delivered at the room. And what else? Limited, no cheering, no autograph, nothing. It's really like a bubble, and no fans, whether be local and international. That's it. It's really a closed door.
All right, thank you for your time this evening. That was POC President Mr. Bambol Tolentino. More than 1.6 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines arrived in the country earlier this afternoon. To give us more details, we have Ryan Ang reporting live from the Ninoy Aquino International Airport in Parañaque City. Good evening, Ryan. What do you have for us?
Charles, this latest shipment is the second batch of Johnson & Johnson vaccines that were donated by the United States government through the COVAX facility. Emirates Flight EK0332 carrying over 1.6 million doses of Johnson vaccines landed around 4 p.m. Saturday. U.S. Embassy charged the affair John Law, Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin, Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Carl Chua, OPAP Assistant Secretary Wilben Mayor, and other key officials were present during the turnover of the COVID-19 doses. Chua said that high-risk areas will be prioritized for the distribution of the single-dose Johnson vaccines. These are areas under ECQ where restrictions have hampered citizens' work and means of income. Chua said this will improve the consumer confidence to open the economy. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. previously said each region in the country will receive at least 100,000 doses, which will be strictly administered to the A2 and A3 priority groups, or senior citizens and adults with comorbidities. The Johnson shots are not as sensitive compared to other vaccine brands when it comes to storage temperature requirements. This makes the doses easier to transport to remote areas like Sulu, Basilan, and Tawi-Tawi. Galvez also noted that the additional vaccine supply arrived just in time given the threat of more infectious variants. Meanwhile, Law said the U.S. government will continue donating vaccines to help other countries. Charles, from here, the vaccines will be brought to the PharmaServe cold storage facility in Marikina before being distributed to different locations. Charles?
Thank you. That was Ryan Ang reporting live from the NAIA at Parañaque. The Health Department says there's no recommendation yet for COVID-19 booster shots in the country. In today's Laging Handa briefing, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said experts have yet to present complete evidence regarding the efficacy of booster shots. Vergere also mentioned some considerations, such as equity, as plenty of Filipinos have not received even at least one dose. Vergere called for solidarity before thinking about the rollout of booster shots.
At ang gusto lang naman po ng ating gobyerno at ng ating mga eksperto, tayo ay sigurado at may sapat na ebidensya para makapagrekomenda tayo ng booster shot sa ating population. So ang rekomendasyon po natin galing sa ating eksperto, antayin na lang natin yung full evidence at saka po natin pag-usapan at irekomenda itong booster doses na ito.
The Health Department reports over 6,000 new COVID-19 cases. That brings the country's case tally to around 1.5 million, some 47,200 of which are still considered active. The virus claimed the lives of 122 more patients over the past 24 hours, pushing the death toll to more than 26,500. Around 1.4 million, meanwhile, have gotten better from the disease, with over 7,200 new recoveries for today. People with diabetes are at a higher risk of getting infected with COVID-19. So what can a diabetic person do to stay healthy and safe? Let's find out in this video from the World Health Organization.
Diabetes has been increasingly common in the past 30 years, and there are now more than 400 million people living with diabetes in the world. Unfortunately, about 1/2 of them do not know they have diabetes, they have not been diagnosed. And of those who are diagnosed, many do not have access to medicines nor health services that they need. This pandemic has shown that people with diabetes are at higher risk than people without diabetes of having a severe illness, COVID, and also dying of COVID. The two main types of diabetes are type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is much more common. Type 1 seems to also have a higher risk than type 2 of a severe COVID illness and death.
Goika, please explain how people living with diabetes can stay healthy during the pandemic.
The pandemic and the measures to contain it are quite a challenge for people with diabetes. The mainstone in treatment is physical activity and a healthy diet, and that might not be possible in the pandemic conditions. The people with diabetes have to be creative about how to manage to continue the recommended physical activity and a healthy diet within the constraints posed by the pandemic. Also, the health system has to ensure that people get their medication regularly.
Goika, please explain how people living with diabetes can stay safe from COVID-19.
Given that people with diabetes are considered a vulnerable group because of the higher risk of severe disease and a higher risk of death than people without diabetes, we strongly recommend all the measures for containing the pandemic and for protecting ourselves, individuals, such as hand washing, wearing masks, ventilating indoor habitats, socializing with people, preferably outdoors whenever possible, and keeping the safe physical distance. There is also vaccination, which is recommended for people with diabetes as a priority group.
For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. And you can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Charles Lejano. We're One News.